coffee. All right, welcome to Films Over Coffee. I am Jared, the sound guy.
I'm Adam, the writer.
And today we have Daniel McKeever, the actor, with us.
Our first guest.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
don't you feel honored?
I do. I'm honored to be at some part of the list. I don't know how far up I am on the list, but I'll take it.
Well, you know, we went through many candidates.
Yeah, I understand.
So you were the first one to call us back.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. There were hundreds of people, but you know, it's like we know this guy. So what are you drinking there, Daniel?
Some delicious Dutch Brothers coffee.
Yes, I'm also drinking coffee. Mm-hmm. Jared, is that a coffee mug you got there?
I'm drinking iced tea from a coffee mug.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Now, Daniel, you know, you've worked with us before. You've heard our podcast, Films Over Coffee, before, right?
Actually, I haven't.
You know, if you guys aren't going to take this thing seriously, this is bullshit. I'm out of here.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Anyway, so we're here to talk today about you're in a play in the Spokane.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about the play?
Of course. It's one of the classic, golden age musicals. It's called Mancha.
Mancha.
Yeah. So basically, the premise of the story is Don Miguel de Cervantes, the writer of Mancha, he gets thrown into a prison at the top of the show, and basically he's going to be put on trial by his fellow prisoners before meeting up with the Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, okay.
So, in order to save his manuscript of Mancha, he has to perform segments from his manuscript in order to sway the jury, as it were, who are his prisoner peers, in order to sway them to not burn the manuscript.
So basically, he's on a trial before a trial.
Exactly. It's a show. It's a play within a play.
Yeah, I looked up Mancha. I'm not familiar with the show. Mm-hmm. I'd heard of it, but it got its start in London or something like that. Or
yeah.
It had a Broadway.
Huge Broadway run. It's had multiple renewals, I guess, is what it would say. On Broadway as well. So.
Now we worked with Daniel on our most recent short film, Mercy, which I assume was the best time acting you've ever had.
Well, of course. I mean, it's hard to beat doing a short film, especially working with you all and then with Jax as well.
Over Coffee
Films.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, Jared. what did you think working with Daniel?
Daniel was great. He was a professional.
Oh, stop it!
The best part about that is you're in stark contrast to Jax. I mean, you were very much on book, and you were very predictable, which is nice because when you've got a loose cannon like Jax Russell, you need somebody who doesn't go too far off the book. Otherwise, you're just filming for hours.
Gotta keep it grounded.
Jax is a loose cannon. We love him for it.
Yeah,
that's true. Do you remember any any stories from Mercy or anything like that? As you know, because that's in the editing bay right now. That should be coming out soon. Should be getting out to some film festivals. Is there anything you remember? Was it different working with Over Coffee Films than your other work? Or?
Well, this really was the first short film that I had been a part of. I had been a part of one previously for the 40-hour slam that's held in Spokane, but ultimately ended up falling through because of sound issues.
Sound.
I
know, right? Sound, man.
It's very important.
We can't all have a Jared on our team.
Well, that's fair.
But no.
So what do you mean there was a problem with sound?
It was just a clerical error, I guess is the best way to put it. There was the equipment was not fully prepared in the way that it should have been for the shoot.
So you're saying some sound didn't get recorded,
exactly.
And so the film is kind of it's terrible.
Yeah,
you see, put all this work in. And
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was able to see the cut of it without the sound, but which I was excited about seeing the final product of the show, but ultimately it just didn't come to fruition, which is fine.
Yeah,
life happens.
It happens.
So
I
can't really complain about it.
Don't you ever do that? You will be fired on the spot.
I won't.
I will fire you. Okay. So this was your first because you've done a lot of stage work before.
Yes, tons of stage work.
So this was sort of your first, full film that is actually going to pan out. Hopefully it will. We have to talk to Cody.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we have to talk to our editor a little bit, make sure it's
The
good.
sound guy did his part on this one. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but so what was that like? Was that different? Because you've done so much stage experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what was that experience like?
Preparation for this particular one was different than what I've had to do on stage, because on stage you run the entirety of the show from start to finish, which basically we did throughout the production of Mercy. Is we started at the very beginning and then ended at the very end, which that aspect was very similar. But it was the multiple takes and trying to get everything exactly the way that we needed it. It was kind of refreshing, because as an actor, it allowed me to do different motivations, I guess, for different lines of dialogue and stuff like that. So yeah,
I mean, and it was do you usually? I mean, there was just a 2-person film, basically 2 main characters. I mean, have you done many stage plays where the cast is that small, or usually?
Yeah, there was one show that I did. It was called Pete and Keeley, and it was a 2-person show. It was me and Abby Crawford, and it was over in Coeur d'Alene, and it was just a 2-person show. It was the 2 of us, and it was a 23-song musical.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was very much of who were the 2 I'm thinking? If you think Sonny and Cher, right before the explosion happened, that's the show.
Got it.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, it was. I know for me, it was a joy working with you, and so I'm really excited to see Man of La Mancha. So now this isn't like your standard Man of La Mancha. If you've seen the classic version on Broadway or whatever, this would be different.
Correct. Yeah. Normally it's set in like the Spanish Inquisition times, because that's what it was written for. But this particular change of it was we set it into a modern era. The dialogue all remains the same. There is no change in dialogue. There's no different slang or anything like that to make it modernized. The only difference is the way that we say it, and the way that we hold ourselves as the characters before we actually get into the play within the play. The play within the play is very similar. It's set in that olden times with knights and kings and lords and dukes. That portion of it remains the same. But outside of that, the actual, it feels very contemporary. It's set inside of a modern prison, orange jumpsuits.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. And it looks really cool. I'm so psyched. And the cast is, you enjoy the cast? I mean, it seems like
one of the best casts that I've ever had the privilege of working with. Each one of them independently is a phenomenal actor and phenomenal singer. So when we all were to come together and to form like this powerhouse cast, it just makes the production process so much easier.
Now you're the lead in this, right?
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you're playing the part of Miguel
de Cervantes.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And now, where is this playing?
It's playing at the Modern Theater Spokane. So it's downtown Spokane, off of Howard Street. Howard and 2nd is where it's at. So.
And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm new to town. I don't know anything about the Modern Theater. Is it like a sort of standard theater? Like,
it's actually come a long way. Originally, it was a theater production company called Interplayers, but they were starting to go under, and so the new artistical director over at Lake City Playhouse at the time, which is now the Modern Theater Coeur d'Alene, George Green, he stepped in and became the executive artistic director of that location. And with that change, it kind of blossomed the theater into what it's become now. There's a lot more edgy material that's being played there than what was there before. We just did a show called Wild Party, in which I was part of as well.
Yeah, you played like sort of an insane clown or something?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
That was definitely different from any other character that I've played before.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Was that also a musical?
That was also a musical, yeah. That's kind of my bread and butter, I guess, is the way to put it.
Nice.
This is show number 55 for me, and the majority of them are musicals. So.
Wow. I mean, so the Modern Theater, then, you would almost say it's kind of like the avant-garde theater in town? Yeah.
I mean, it still plays the classics, but it always seems to make its own twist to make it completely different than what you've seen before. And that's what I love about this theater. That's what I love about theater in general. It's taking the standard ideals and creating your own spin on it to make it different. And that's what I enjoy as an actor. Audiences love seeing the material that they know, such as Men of La Mancha and Guys and Dolls, and the standard golden age musical that everybody knows and loves. But it's when you can take that and then twist it a little bit, like what we're doing with Man of La Mancha, rather than keeping it in the standard Spanish Inquisition's time frame where everything is going on, bringing it to that modernized feel.
Yeah, so it's just a slight modification, and it just really changes the perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, Jared, I mean, you know something about the Inquisition. You're married. Are you pretty excited about seeing Man of La Mancha?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I do enjoy a good musical. As a sound man and a musician.
You seem like the kind of guy who enjoys a good musical.
But no, I'm excited to see it. It's every review I've heard is fantastic so far. So everybody's saying great job.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty exciting stuff. So you got this great cast, you got this great theater. The play sounds like they've really adapted it well. So let's talk about you as an actor. I mean, we've worked with you before. We've gotten a sense of you, but I don't know everything about what makes you tick as an actor. So, I guess one thing I'm curious about is 10 years from now, you're still acting. What do you want to be? What would your ideal sort of setup be? Would you want to be like a stage actor? Would you want to be doing stage and film? Would you like to get into feature films? What do you?
I mean, stage and film would be ultimately where I would like to be in. I like both aspects of it, especially after doing the short film that we did. I was just enthralled with seeing that whole entire process and the different camera angles and being a part of that process. I mean, it definitely opened my eyes to this is a whole new avenue that I haven't even thought about doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually kind of shocked you haven't been in too many films. Because, I mean, I know you have a long history with theater, so I figured you would have been plucked out before then. So we were lucky to sort of be able to pop your cherry in that regard.
Yeah.
And I'll always remember that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So here's one for you, Daniel. What's your ideal role? What's one character or one role you would love to play?
Yeah, maybe something you haven't had a chance to, like a type of character, something.
Honestly, I have never been the romantic ingenue inside of any musical that I've ever been in.
Really?
I have always been either the evil person or the character, the comedy arc of everything. Man of La Mancha is probably as close as that I've actually come to when it comes to any sort of romantic ingenue, because there is romantic scenes inside of the play, but no, that specific young-hearted individual following love and getting that passion in for the first time, as that character I've never had the opportunity of playing before.
Wow, that's actually surprising. I get to every week with Jared, so
it's chemistry is spot on screen.
It's just
kind of
I have to edit those out in post.
More nervous of sitting in between,
Oh, you didn't realize what was going on.
I didn't read the contract.
You didn't read the credits of that?
Dang it.
That's really interesting. So, you haven't had you haven't made out much on stage.
There's a difference between having made out on stage and being that romantic character, because even as a villain or as a character, you still have those moments in which kissing happens on stage.
Right. I mean, everybody needs love.
That does happen. Like in Wild Party, there was a scene in which I was kissing to make the woman who was in love with me jealous. That was the reason behind the kissing.
You are
so there was
evil.
I know he was an evil character.
Yeah.
So
is whenever you've been attached historically to someone, is that ever been troublesome? Have you ever run into that?
Not to any certain this is over degree. I mean, there's always that chance of that conversation, but there's always a forewarning. It's me letting him know. It's hey, nowadays with the lovely lady that I'm seeing right now, I talked to her.
Kudos.
and I let her know, it's hey, this is going to happen inside of the show. Are you comfortable with it? Because if you're not comfortable with it, then I won't do it. And
that must be one of the weird things about getting into character, because you can't you bore yourself out emotionally in all these other ways, but when you go and make out with some woman and your girlfriend's watching. That must be. He's I'm gonna hold up on that one.
That happened during Wild Party.
Did it
I would
really?
have loved to hear the conversation you would have had to explain your entanglement with Jax in our short film there. Listen, sweetie, it's gonna get weird.
Something's gonna happen. Everything's gonna be fine.
I guess as an actor, you must have to be with people who and date people and be connected to people who understand that. Like that's sort of in the contract at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, especially with my girlfriend now, Angela is her name. She's been supportive and amazing this whole entire time. I mean, she's part of the theater scene as well.
Oh, so she can connect with that.
Yeah, she can definitely do it. She's a brilliant choreographer.
Oh, wow.
She just choreographed Music Man over in Coeur d'Alene for Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now here's a question for you, because there are things that we think about ourselves, but there's also what people see us as, and so when when I was a musician, people would always compare me to different singers and all that, and it was never accurate. It would run a gamut. It would be whoever they liked, right? But is there the one I got the most is Bob Dylan, which was always funny. Yeah, I had a big afro and everything,
right?
Which it was really funny because when people would say that to me after a show, I'd say, just to be antagonistic, surprising, I would say Bob Dylan's known for having a bad voice, right? It's just, but so what I'm curious about is, when you finish a show and you're in line, people are talking to you or whatever, do people compare you to a particular actor most often?
Not as often as one would think. It depends on which show that I'm a part of. Like during Wild Party, during the intense scenes that I was doing, that people compared me to like a Leonardo DiCaprio at that because of the energy that I was giving off on stage.
Okay.
But most of the time, look wise, I get compared a lot to like a Tom Hardy.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see you with a shaved head. I mean, it's a shame.
It's
you got good locks, but
it's not pretty.
It's not good.
I tried it one time.
Get like a misshapen head.
It's not so much misshapen. It's just it's a small head up top, and then just kind of.
Yeah.
I got one of those faces and heads.
I used to shave my head a lot. Just I don't know why. My hair is not easy to deal with, so I remember I was working at this restaurant and I shaved my head. I didn't even think about it, and I was working in a pretty sort of urban restaurant, and so the patrons were all sorts of races and all that. And when I shaved my head, I'm like, "Wow, you look like a neo-Nazi." It was bad. It was really bad, and I was sadly more pale than I am now, which is impressive. So, yeah. But it'd be interesting. Tom Hardy, okay. Now, are there actors that you base that are real inspirations to you? Like, if you had one or two that, when you think about the right way to act, maybe someone would know. Like, are there people like that?
Oh, someone who I think it more has to do with along with the direction style that I enjoy of movies opposed to actual actors themselves. Like Scorsese is huge inspiration for me. Just I watch all of his films and I love seeing the different angles and directions that they take, and then what he's able to pull from his actors is really what I enjoy most. Because I've never seen a film where a Scorsese film where I was like, that actor just phoned it in.
So he gets the most out of his actors.
Exactly.
And so for you, it's getting the most out of yourself. You see that.
Exactly. So it's finding that inspiration more so than the specific actor that I follow.
Okay, you don't have models that you...
I mean, there's always the classic actors like De Niro. De Niro is a fantastic actor. And then there's...
Bobby... I think about De Niro, and this is going to be bad, but you can impersonate De Niro. He's the only actor I can think of that know how to say a word. You just do that
the face. The face. That's all it takes.
He's got that one, the face and the nod. He does with the squint. De Niro. Yeah, I mean of course.
Yeah,
and it goes with the Scorsese thing.
It does. Yeah. Yep. Jack Nicholson too.
Oh yeah.
He's phenomenal.
Do you have a favorite Jack Nicholson movie?
Well, continuing on with Scorsese, I enjoy The Departed, but I also enjoy kind of out there a little bit, but his character inside of Anger Management, which is very different than what I've seen him do.
Good call.
Outside of there.
Good call.
Yeah, he was good in that.
He was really good in that. I think I hands down the best part of that film. Was Jack Nicholson.
Oh, definitely.
Wait, you mean Adam Sandler's acting wasn't award worthy in that one?
Well, if I ever meet Adam Sandler, I have to say yes. But.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh well, Jared asked if there's a part you'd want to play. Now here's a question: Is there a part you would feel really uncomfortable playing, like a type of character?
Yeah. What's that character that just makes you?
Yeah, you get handed a script, you want to do the movie or do a play, and you're just like, I don't know if I can do this.
Like we're talking God, I just lost it.
Rain Man.
No, what was the one he did with John Voight?
The cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Urban Cowboy? No.
I don't remember, but
yeah.
But are there any things that like you just feel really uncomfortable, like playing, or are you just kind of open with that?
Open for the most part. I mean, there's certain characters that I don't really like to play, just because of their intent inside of those characters. Like, bringing it back to Wild Party again, for me, it was just one of those characters. It was like it was hard to walk away and leave the character on stage just because of the impact that it had on me throughout the run of the show.
Yeah, Heath Ledger kind of talked about that with the Joker. Like he was.
In fact, they've all had problems leaving it. Well, except for Cesar Romero.
Well, yeah.
Well, Caesar.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so for you as an actor, like when you're playing a part, you can't let him go. You're just, you take him home with you, and
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to just leave the character there. But I got some wonderful advice from George Green, the artistical director over at the Modern Theater. Well, who is now at the Playhouse San Antonio.
Oh, wow.
He recently left. He gave me a piece of advice that I'll never forget. The amount of time that it takes you to bring that character to life when you get here is the same amount of time you need to let go of that character before you leave.
That's amazing. Does that fall into sort of the method acting approach, or is that just in general?
Yeah. No, I used to, back when I first started, I used to have to think about specific emotions in my life in order to bring out those characters and those emotions. Now it's become a lot more natural for me in order to feel those emotions. But with that, it's kind of scary because those emotions just pour out now, opposed to having to force those emotions to pour out.
Okay, that's super interesting. I mean, I have no acting experience, so it's fun to hear the perspective.
Yeah. Well, and I'd like to thank you for being with us today.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I just have one more question, real quick, which is just if you ran into Joe Blow on the street, we'll call him Jared, for example. Some guy who just knows nothing about acting or theater or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Just pick a name at random.
Good name.
Yeah. But if you were going to talk to some guy in the street and they said, "Why should I watch Man of La Mancha at the Modern Theater?" Which is running, the next few weekends, right?
Yeah, it runs through July 30th.
Okay. And that's you can find it at moderntheater.com?
Moderntheater.org.
Moderntheater.org.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Blow's on the street. He's drinking tea, not coffee, and you're
getting very specific with this Jared character.
Well, I'm trying to get into his character.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a White Sox fan, and
oh man,
I mean the right Sox. If you will.
We are getting way too particular.
I know. What you see as writers, we get into other people's characters.
Right.
So, so if he comes to you and says, "Why should I watch Man of La Mancha?" What would you say?
It'll be a different experience than you've ever seen with that show. Even if you haven't seen Man of La Mancha, it's much more captivating this time around that I feel, because I was part of a production of Man of La Mancha back in 2008, and that's when it was set in the Spanish Inquisition times.
Right.
But this particular production, I think because of the intimate setting, because it's a different stage, it's not the stand-up proscenium stage, you are surrounded by the actors throughout the whole entirety of the show.
Oh, cool.
It's set on what's called a thrust stage, and for people who don't know that, there's the main stage, and it's surrounded by three sides. So there's an audience on three sides of the stage at any given point in time.
Yeah.
But the unique part about this production is that they remove the top row of seats in the back, so the actors have playroom in the back as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
So you're literally surrounded by actors throughout the whole entire production.
It sounds like there's music that's really top notch. It's kind of famous for its music, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's action. There's tension. This a trial. This guy's in prison. It sounds, and it's got that great literary callback.
Exactly.
To Cervantes. But so that sounds really cool. So I'm excited to see it.
Me too. It's going to be great. Well, that's kind of all the time we have. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, of course, anytime.
And once again, if you guys enjoy this, please go see the show at the Modern Theater. It's going to be fantastic. And
there's information on Facebook, and we're going to be putting more information on our Facebook page, which you can just look up Over Coffee Films. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube.
Yep.
And follow us there, and we'll give you more information or point you in the right direction. But Yeah.
And make sure to leave comments, you guys. Let us, especially shout out to Daniel. Let him know, let him know you guys are excited to see it. And
yeah. And if you've got any suggestions for future podcasts, let us know.
Absolutely. So for Films Over Coffee, I'm Jared the Sound Guy.
I'm Daniel the actor.
I'm Adam the writer.
All right, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
Films Over Coffee.